Welcome to the Jericho Force Podcast, where we learn how to integrate faith into the work that we do. Don't conform to the world's way of doing business. Transform by doing business God's way. Here's our host, my husband, author, speaker, teacher, encourager, and stewardship coach, Jason Davis.
What's going on, everybody? What is going on? My name is Jason Davis, aka Mr. Fortify, and welcome to the Jericho Force Podcast, where we talk about how we integrate faith into the work that we do, how we live out our faith in the marketplace. I am really excited about our show tonight. We've got a special guest. She is a powerful, and when I say powerful, I mean powerful woman of God. I've just recently gotten to know her over the last year. But before I bring her on, let me introduce her to you. Maureen Osuji is a coach, learning consultant, and facilitator. She specializes in facilitating sessions that are well structured to lead to the results desired by her clients. She is the founder of The Strategy Well, a consulting company that partners with service-based business owners, leaders, and subject matter experts to create courses, digital assets, and e-learning experiences to increase their impact, influence, and income. Maureen has a strong leadership background that allows her to relate to professionals working in different industries and at all levels of an organization. She is the host of the Leadership and Self-Development Room on Clubhouse. She is also passionate about creating a safe space for women to navigate their current situation, develop an intimate relationship with God, and build the self-confidence in their ability to share their knowledge and experiences with the world. Maureen is the author of the book, I Am Loved by God. She is a certified NLP practitioner. She also holds a degree in psychology and a certificate in meeting, conference, and events planning. She currently resides in Washington, D.C. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Jericho Force Podcast, Miss Maureen Osuji. Maureen!
Thank you so much, Jason. I'm super excited to be here.
Absolutely. Maureen, I remember when we talked about this months ago, just the energy that we had in our side conversation, and now we are here, Maureen.
I know, right? I know. I'm excited, and I'm so happy, for how far you've gone and the things you've been able to achieve in just a short period, Jason. It's so inspiring.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, Maureen. To God be the glory. We're trying to be marketplace ambassadors here on the Jericho Force Podcast, and it's bringing on people like yourself because, Maureen, a lot of people, they go to church on Sunday and then they come to the marketplace Monday, and we're kind of having a little bit different conversation. And so that's why I love bringing people on who are actively living out their faith in the marketplace. So we answer the question, Maureen, well, but I'm a doctor, but I'm a CPA, but I'm a leadership coach, but I'm a consultant. How in the world can I live out my faith in my industry? And that's why I'm so excited to have you on, Maureen, because we will certainly get into some leadership tonight. Yes, we will. But Maureen, we're, people hear your bio and they're like, oh my gosh, this lady, there is a lot going on. But Maureen, tell us a story. So you just didn't wake up in 2022 and you all of a sudden you're a coach, learning consultant, and facilitator. So give us the rundown of your professional background. How did he bring all of that together?
It's amazing. It's amazing. I always tell people, like when I was a kid, I was one of those kids who always wondered, why are people behaving this way? I guess maybe it was because of the experiences I had when I was younger. I was like, why does this person act like this? Why does this person do this? Why do they do this? I was just intrigued by human behavior. So guess what I did? I went to school to get a degree in psychology. I was able to learn and understand the motivations behind people's behavior, what triggers people, what makes us act the way we do. And I did a thesis, think about it even now when I'm recalling, in self-esteem and body image and the effect it has on women. And I say this because I'll refer to this later on. So, sometimes we do a couple of these things and we finish school, we move on, we have different plans. I planned that I was going to be a human resource manager. I had my whole life mapped out. I'll work for a period of time. After that, I would have a restaurant. I'll retire with the restaurant and, with my lovely family and all of those things, right? Yeah. Those were my plans. And God had other plans for me.
Indeed he did.
I know, God had other plans for me. So I finished, I went to this thing we call a youth service, like a 1-year service. But before then, while I was in school, I used to take part in this organization. It's called ISEC. It's a leadership organization. It's entirely student-run. It's worldwide in different countries. So we have exchange opportunities for students who come in from different countries. We help them. At first, when I first tried to join, I wasn't able to get through. But subsequently, my sister said, go back there and make sure you become a part of it. Because apparently, for some reason, on the job she had gotten, some other people got ahead of her because they were a part of that organization. So I put my back into it and I decided to become an observer. I went in there to serve and to help, and they decided along the line, I think like a year later, to make me the vice president student development. And that's how my leadership journey started. And I saw the transformation that this, leadership, taking people on a journey. I just noticed that. I was like, wow, people come in and they are transformed by the end of the year, 2 years, 3 years. And now I say these things because it played a part even when I tried to reinvent myself, because I had to go back to all of the things I had done in the past, right? So that happened. I went on to work. I started working with client service, customer service. I worked in the bank. I worked in an advertising agency. And then from there, I also ran my own business, a fashion manufacturing business. I had a mini factory as well. I had team members and things like that. And then I moved on from there as well. But at some point in 2017, things were going well. In 2017, prior to that time, at work, when I was still in corporate, I just felt like there was this burning sensation. I was made for more. I know I'm made for more. And I'll tell you, Jason, before this time, I had gone on, which was very, a lot of people were surprised that I took part in it. I took part in a reality show. I'm sure you didn't even know about this. I took part in a reality TV show, and I was selected, out of millions of people, and people were like, oh my goodness, Maureen, you were so energetic. It was just a fluke. I was just like, let me just try it out. There are certain things at a certain age, you're just like, let me just try this out. But this was after all of that. I had gone back into corporate. I had left that, the whole entertainment industry. I acted a couple of, mini movies here and there and series here and there as well. At this point, I was like, I'm made for more. There was just something. I couldn't tell what it was, and I just felt like, there's more to life. I'm made for more. And that started my intimate journey with God. And at that point, there was a program my church was running at the time. It's called Life in the Spirit Terminal, and I took part in it. It's an 8-week program. And after that, I just felt, even during that time, I had a deeper encounter with God. And that just started my entire journey of intimacy. It wasn't like I didn't know about God before or anything like that, but this was different because it was intentional. I started taking out time to study the Bible, spending quality time. There's a whole lot of that. And I started trying to develop my gifts. I was talking to someone today, some people in the group on Clubhouse, about, how I first started. There's a friend of mine who, she had a prophetic gift, and at some point she would come to say, the Lord said this, the Lord said that. And I'm like, God, am I your stepdaughter? Like, why can't I hear you? Why can't I, why can't I? It seems like everybody has this gift, or everyone can hear you, but why can't I? And that, it developed a hunger in me, but while that was going on, I was also still building my career and all of that. And then I gradually started developing in my gifts, growing in my gifts, helping people on their journeys, their faith formation journey, building that up. So that was just a mix of both the leadership, my faith at the time, leading people on journeys. And then I was still waiting and serving, waiting for the time when this promised relationship and marriage
right
happened. This is, years, and each time I'm like, God, what exactly is going on, right? And the thing happens to us where we've waited for so long, and then we decide to do something by ourselves.
Wow. My goodness, Maureen, I got chills just listening. Because you said some things I didn't even, we've talked beforehand. I said, wow, I never heard that story. I'm recapping here. So wait a minute. You study human behavior, and then we'll come back to the self-esteem, body image thing. So you had your whole life mapped out, and then you just go on this journey of, and there are two characteristics that really stood out to me throughout the process: observation and service. Observation and service. Maureen, I know that you've taken many steps of faith in your lifetime. There's something about, let me just get in, roll up my sleeves and serve, and let me just get a lay of the land of how things are going on. And Maureen, I feel like when some people are trying to navigate where they're going, they view things like what you did, observation, they kind of view it as not doing anything. But talk to us about that, because you learned quite a bit. You were serving, observing, and then able to apply. In fact, I don't know if that's a framework, Maureen. You can use it. I'm just saying, serve, observe, apply. So I just see that recurring pattern as you were talking about your journey. Just talk to us about some of the lessons that you learned along the way, because we don't want people to miss that. Folks, if you're listening, we talk to kingdom business owners, kingdompreneurs, Christian business owners on this show. Just talk about the importance of that, Maureen, because we hear scriptures like "Be still and know that I am God," and people are stuck between not doing anything or jumping all the way in and not talking to God. So talk about the importance of that, because that, just in what you're saying, was critical.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. That's the thing. And it's funny that you picked that up. It's and when I look back, and that's the thing, with self-awareness, you need to take an inventory of yourself as well, to look back at what you've been able to do, to sort of find, I don't know if you're familiar with the term ikigai, to sort of find what is in the middle of that, to find what your purpose is. Back to the point of serving and observing, I realized that has been very instrumental in my life. Like every single thing I have been able to achieve has been as a result of serving in one way or the other.
Wow. That is huge. Folks, you heard it here on the Jericho Force Podcast. You might have tried a lot of different things. Listen, roll up those sleeves and start serving where you're at. You heard it from Miss Maureen right here. I want to talk about that self-awareness, Maureen. How critical is self-awareness as a business owner? Because I feel like a lot of people out there, they have blind spots. And sometimes those blind spots keep us from seeing where God is leading us, also when it comes to decision making day to day and what we're doing in business. So just self-awareness, why is that so powerful?
Oh, it's very key, especially, like as we're talking to business owners, especially as a leader, it's really important because for you to be able to serve people, you have to be aware of who you are, your strengths and your weaknesses, right? Think about it. As a business owner, you're building teams, you're working with different kinds of people. In order to even bring the right set of people to your team, you need to understand where your strength is and understand where your weakness is. And the only way you can do that is doing like a self-inventory. Figuring out, and Jason, you're familiar with this, you do the MBTI.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love it, Maureen. That might be a whole other show, but go ahead.
Exactly. So you do those assessments. Those things are tools that can help you to understand yourself better. Because things happen and you wonder, oh, why am I acting like this? And it takes practice, actually, because, it takes practice to the extent where when you notice a particular behavioral pattern, you're like, okay, what exactly? Hold up. Why am I reacting this way? What is going on here? And that self-awareness helps you to understand areas where you need to build on. As a leader, it's important because your team members are from diverse places. They've had diverse experiences, right? Over the years, different things have built. They've built behavioral patterns. We all have our idiosyncrasies. And it's just understanding what you bring to the table, being aware that others are different from you, being open to the fact that, okay, you might have either cultural clashes and things like that, and finding a way to sort of find a balance. It's very critical for leaders, especially servant leaders. So I think that's one of the critical things that has also helped with my journey as well.
I love that, Maureen, when you were talking about assessments. I have a friend of mine who says assess for success.
That's so good.
For success. And you touch on a lot of things like, well, why do that? These are just some tests, right? No. Not at all. People have diversity of experience, diversity of culture, diversity of personality, diversity of thought. So that's huge, Marina. And with your clients, Maureen, do you have any recommendations or do you have any favorite assessments that you use? I know you already called out DISC, and I said, let me stop myself right now because I love DISC. But what is, if you had a go-to or a set, because I know you're familiar with multiples, but what if somebody's like, okay, Maureen, self-awareness, which one should I do first, and maybe why?
Well, there are a variety of them, and I don't want to, because the thing is, it depends on what the person's situation is. There's the DISC, there's the MBTI, there's also the Engram one as well. There are a couple of free ones and the other ones as well. But the key thing is finding one, the Strengths Finder as well, that shows you and you might have to at some point do a mix of both or different ones, because some of them highlight different areas. Like the DISC, for instance, is more like your career, showing you your areas of strength as a career person, how this will fit into the team framework and things like that. So you just need to, the most important thing is finding out one that gives you an overview of your personality. Doing one, starting with one. So because some people will be like, oh, you get into analysis paralysis, right? Yeah. Oh, should I do this, that? Just do one. Start with one. And then you can move on to others. That's my advice to people. Start with one. They're free. They're even free assessments you can quickly go and do, like the 16 personalities, right? That's easy. You can get it, and it just gives you an idea. And the more you delve into it, you can now get into the paid ones that you can do and get a deeper perspective of what those things mean. Especially like this, I like the Strengths Finder though. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do like that. So yeah, it's important because a lot of times it just makes you aware of the reasons why you're sort of wired a particular way. You understand why, for me, let me take for an example with the 16 personalities. And the thing I find as well, it depends on, and I guess that's the psychology of it to a certain degree. It depends on what exactly is going on in your life. If you're experiencing, some kind of turbulence or there's certain things going on in your life. But sometimes that, like the 16 personalities one, I'll give an example of myself. On that one, I have the ENFJA, assertive, and I'm the protagonist. So it shows that I love to lead the charge. I love, carrying the vision. Let's go. What are we going to do? Let's build on something. Let's work on something. I like to pull out the potentials in people.
Why am I not surprised? Why am I not surprised with it?
Exactly. So that's why. So you see, that's the thing. Sometimes you wonder why you act the way you do. Those assessments just help to confirm what you're already experiencing, if that makes sense.
I like that, folks. That's some gold right there. Confirm what you're already experiencing. That's a huge part of self-awareness. You get me excited now, Maureen. And folks, she hasn't even started preaching yet. She hasn't even started. She's getting warmed up. I love it, Maureen. You started to go here earlier, Maureen. So you've got this. You've gone on your own journey. Leadership development's been a part. You worked in all these different industries and backgrounds, which is awesome because you got diversity of experience: customer service, advertising, entrepreneurship, entertainment. I think you even said manufacturing. So you got depth and breadth. And in working in all of that, you talked about how you had this burning desire and that you really started to get close to God. So I don't know any kingdom business owner, Maureen, where their personal testimony hasn't played a role in where they're at now. So talk to us about that burning desire and how you began to get close to God and maybe what that turning point was for you in your faith.
Okay. So, Jason, there's the good part, but I would say the bad part.
Did you hear that, folks? She said, okay. Whenever you hear that, it's like, oh, she's about to drop some fire. So go ahead, Marie.
So there's a good part, and then there's the bad part, the downhill part, and then there's the upward journey.
Got it.
So yeah. So I did all these things, and like I said, I was going closer to God, spending time. I did like a 40-day fast straight for the first time. All of these things, and I was having these encounters, like really heavenly, like encounters. I started, initially I wasn't speaking in tongues. I started speaking in tongues. I got confirmations of what my giftings were. But it's like, okay, you get all these giftings, and you're wondering, okay, where do I fit in? And you see, that's also the challenge, right? For people who are gifted in different areas, who are creative, they work in different spaces. Sometimes it might seem like you're all over the place, and people might begin to tell you, what exactly are you doing? But the thing is, a lot of all those things come into play when the time is right. Yeah. And you only look back in hindsight to say, thank God I did that. Thank God I had this experience. Thank God I did this. Thank God I did that. Because it comes into play and you wonder, oh, wow, okay, I wonder if I didn't do this, how that would come about. So for anyone listening who's thinking, oh, it looks or feels like I'm all over the place, it would all work together. I always like to say our life is like a beautiful tapestry, right? There are different wefts and yarns. I guess because I was into fashion and fabrics. There are different wefts and yarns. If you see it, it's like there's a yellow thread, blue thread. It's all a mixture of things. And some of those things are the people who you meet along the way that can either move you forward or deter you. But guess what? Even when they do deter you, when you realize that you've been deterred, you can come back to God. So I said there was a good part. The good part was I was leading people on faith formation journeys, 8 weeks. So the same thing I went through, I was leading people through that as well, activating them in their spiritual gifts. And it was amazing just seeing the transformation they were experiencing. But you see, that's the thing. You pray with people, things happen, and you're wondering, God, okay, what's going on? Why is this particular area, why is there no change? And the area I was talking about was in the area of my relationships and marriage. And I was like, why isn't this changing? What's going on? And I just kept hearing, wait, while you wait. I was like, okay. But you see, that's the thing with society and societal comparison, social comparison, you get to start comparing yourself with your peers. Oh, this person is moving on. This person is moving ahead. This person is moving ahead. This is happening. What is going on with mine? And at some point, that is where the bad part starts. I decided that I had waited on God for too long. And now it was time for me to take matters into my own hands. And God, being the merciful God that He is, sent me warnings. I would have dreams, and this was way before, months, and I'll be wondering, why am I having these dreams? But they were warnings. It wasn't until I decided I got into this relationship, I was like, you know what, I'll just go ahead and do this, get married, do the things that I had to do. In that relationship, it was a short-lived one, but the damage I experienced was so bad. I talk about self-esteem, self-confidence. It was so bad that when I got out of how I knew it was that bad was when I got out of it, when I decided to leave. And I talk about all of this in my book. When I decided to leave, I went to a grocery store, I think a week later or something. And a guy saw me. You know how maybe a guy would see you and want to step up to you and talk? I literally took off running.
Wow.
That's when I knew. I was like, Maureen, you need help. You need to get help. And that was at the point when I relocated. I moved here and I started my journey. I had to come to a place where I had to come back to God, begging, crying, and asking for forgiveness. Because, at the time I thought with all of the things I had done, there was no way that God could forgive me. And I thought this because it's not like I wasn't a Christian or I didn't know God and I didn't know what was right. Like I said, I had gotten I had taken people on journeys and things so I knew what was right. I was in the church, I wasn't away, but I still went ahead and decided to take that decision on my own. That led to all this emotional abuse, verbal abuse, and all of these things that sort of scraped down my self-esteem. I became sort of like a shell of myself. I was in church when all of this happened. And, sometimes, and that's why also I like to talk about mental health. A lot of people don't know what others are going through, right?
Sure. Absolutely right.
That's why we just need to be really kind and patient with people. And that's why it's important, even with, like you said, about self-awareness and leadership, emotional intelligence as well, as a leader, as a business owner. The people around you, what are they going through? How can you help? Is your work environment a mentally healthy workplace or business place? Those were the things that I was going through at the time. And in my workplace at the time, I think my boss, she wasn't really good with handling certain things. So it even added more to what I was dealing with. Yes. I'd never experienced a panic attack one of the days because I was going to school and at the same time I was working as well when I moved. And she would, each time I think about it, was that bad. Each time I think about my heart would skip. Like I was dreading going to work every single day.
Oh, wow.
On one of the days I had like a panic. I'd never experienced that before in class. I couldn't breathe. It was my professor. She just looked at me. She looked at one other of my the students. Maybe they had seen something like that before, but I didn't know what it was. It was at that point that I said to myself, Maureen, what brought you to this point?
My
what
goodness.
brought you to this point? It was after that day that I decided, you know what? I need to do something to get myself. This is not you, Maureen. I need to do something to get myself back. And it started my journey all over again. So I know a lot of times we say, oh, I've been with God, for this many years. But the truth is there are these ebbs and flows. There are this, okay, now you've gone through this, and then God uses this as an opportunity to draw your attention. Like Moses, he uses it as an opportunity to make you turn to the side to look at what exactly is going on. And then he takes you deeper into a deeper level than where you were before. So I would say I sort of restarted my journey of faith again. Building and realizing who God had called me to and who God had called me to be, what my purpose was. And I started asking those questions. What am I here for? What did you call me to do? What is my purpose? And I know during that time, even in my when I was dealing with that depression, there was a major time when it was like a tug of war. The enemy would say, your life is worthless. What's the point?
Wow.
What's the point? And I would cry and like, I can't die now. I have so many things to do. So that started the whole, what have I been created for? It's like, okay, you're on limited time now. What do we need to do? How do I make an impact? How many lives do I need to touch? I'm here for a reason. God saved me for a reason. I didn't die then. So that means God needs me on this earth for something, and I need to start doing something.
My God.
And that's the thing, and that's where it started. I started building back, and during that time, he told me. He said, your name, and the funny thing is, this name, I've had this name, it's a traditional name, but I've never really used it. You see how sometimes God just orchestrates things and you wonder. I'd never really used this name, but I found that it was after God revealed it to me that I checked my birth certificate, and I found that actually that was the first name my parents gave me. But for some reason, they were not in agreement about it or something. So like I just used my like I had this other pet name, that's what they use for me at home. So the name is Mawai, and it means the beauty of a woman.
Wow. Look at that.
And he said to me, I have called you to lead women on their journey to beautification.
My goodness. That is powerful, Maureen. And I appreciate your transparency and vulnerability. I know this isn't easy to say like this. I just wanted to say that. My gosh.
Yeah. So when you think about it, and you think about beautification, it's like a diamond, right? It's in the earth. There's all dirt and grime. When you bring it out, it's all dull. And that was really like what I was feeling at that time. I wasn't feeling like a superstar or a shining light. But each day he would tell me the same thing. I have called you as light. But I wasn't feeling like it. And I gradually had to start rebuilding that trust again. So it's the same thing with the experience, and that's why when I see people who talk about, and that's why I'm so passionate about people building up their self-confidence in certain areas, standing in their authority and dominion, because that's what we've been called to do.
Right.
That's what God has us on this earth for. So yes, I experienced pain, but it led me to a different side of myself. And now all the things I had learned in the past, no experience is wasted, right? All the multiple things, events management, leadership, fashion, people. The one line that goes in all of those things is people and service. It's one of the key things. Think about KBN.
Shout out
I joined KBN and I started serving, and a lot of people ask them, like, oh, how long have you known this world? Like, well, just about a year. It's been everything, everywhere I have gone. The first job I got, I started, I noticed they were doing a leadership program. I was like, oh, I can help, I can serve. And it was the same thing. God just brought it to my mind. He made me notice, and that's why there's another book I'm writing that's about service. Yeah. I'm like, I'm like 2 other books I'm writing that's about service. But he just brought it to my mind. Like, can you see that every single place I have gone to, I sowed a seed of service. And it's the one thing that has been responsible for me moving ahead of others. So that's just it. It's been an amazing journey. It's not been easy. But, I've gotten to the place where I'm at now because, I went through the things that I went through. And the truth is, I know I went through those things for a reason. It was when I was writing this book, I Am Loved by God. It's just to remind everyone that even those times when you feel like you're far away or, you've done wrong and, you can't come back from this, like the prodigal child, right? The God is willing and he's always ready to take you back into his arms. I didn't feel like it. I felt like I knew better. I'm a priest. I'm called to be a priest. I knew better. I had taught people most of these things, but I fell. And that's just it. Sometimes you realize that even when you fall, it's what you do after falling, not just lying down there. You pick up yourself, dust yourself, and keep going.
Absolutely. It's not what things are going to happen, but how do you respond? That's huge. That's some gold right there, Maureen. That's, folks, I told you. She was transparent. She's been vulnerable. She preached and taught, preach and teach. She did both tonight. Maureen, this has been a powerful conversation. Where can folks get a copy of I Am Loved by God, Maureen?
It's in the link in my Instagram bio. They can, yes. My IG handle is at mzenospeaks. It is a download. They can all get the download. God said I should make it free. They can all get the download because I want people to have access to it. A lot of times people don't just talk about these things. It's not something we talk about. It's, it's that hush hush. We're still working on, overcoming the stigma around mental health and what its effects are, especially in the church.
Right.
So you can download it from my IG handle. If you click on there, you see, get the book. You can have access to it there.
Awesome. And folks, don't worry if you, the good thing about podcasts is you can hit that rewind button and we have show notes. So everything that Maureen has mentioned, resources, organizations, as she's been telling her story and dropping gold in between, we'll have those in the show notes. So don't you worry about it. We're going to have all the goodness that Maureen was talking about tonight in the show notes. I love that. You definitely want to make sure you get a copy of Maureen's book. So, Maureen, we had to let them know, right? You have been given so much value and you've been so open, and people need to read that book. So that's why I was like, hey, Maureen, where can we get a copy?
Yes. It's so good, Jason. It's, our work in faith it goes from levels to levels. One thing I've learned is, at some point you feel like, oh, you've gotten a lot of faith right now. And God says, no, I still need you to go deeper. I still need you to move deeper. I still need you to go deeper. So, and that's the thing, you have to be open because you don't know it all. Even Moses, you see, he said, even Caleb, Paul, all these people, they say it, like at the end when you think they're like old and, like they're supposed to be tired, there's still so much more. There's territory, there's dominion, there are places to conquer, and there are places in the mind to conquer.
Wow. I love it. Maureen, you mentioned the one thing, and that was service. As you're talking to clients, what's your top lesson about servant leadership?
Oh, that serving is a seed. It's also a key. It's a key that unlocks doors. It's a key that unlocks the door of favor. It's a key that unlocks wealth. Think about it when you serve, and serving is not necessarily, like just only, some people just have this idea of, being a servant is like there's a negative connotation with that. But serving and pouring out, I talk about knowledge transfer and creating opportunities for people to learn from you. That's a way to serve. That's a way to create disciples. That's what Jesus did, right? You want to serve as a servant leader is to pour out what you have. You have a wealth of experience. Create opportunities for people to learn from you. And that's what I do, even as a business, create those learning experiences. Because what we're reading, the Bible that we're reading, the stories in the gospel, is the learning experiences that Jesus created. He had webinars and seminars. He had a management traineeship program. He did.
I like that spin, Maureen. It's like, the Sermon on the Mount. That was actually...
Exactly.
Hey, that conversation with Peter, that was kind of a coaching session.
Exactly. So that's the thing, pouring out what you know. And a lot of people might say, oh, I don't know that much, but you know some. You're one step ahead of someone else in any given area.
Yeah.
So you can teach that person behind you the next step. That's what coaching is. That someone is a coach doesn't mean the person is an expert. It's just that they're one step. Think about it when you get on a job. If you find someone who's been there like 3 months before you or 6 months before you, wouldn't you know that there's something to learn from that person? You definitely want to get with that person. So my thing is servant leadership, even on the job as a business owner, is creating learning experiences, being intentional about transferring knowledge. The systems and processes you use in your business, how can you teach that to your team members? One, it relieves the job off of you and gives you the free time to create more things. Creating courses, creating learning management systems for your organization that can help move your organization forward and increase productivity. These are principles we see in the Bible that we should imbibe. And the last thing I want to say is also, like Jesus said, if anyone wants to be first, if you want to be a master, then you must serve. It is a key that unlocks wealth.
That's a mic drop right there, Maureen. We don't even have to say anything. If we were in church, the choir would have already been up. They're already playing the piano. We're about to dismiss and do the benediction. Nothing else to add after that. Jesus was I came not to be served, but to serve. I gave my life as a ransom. We're just ready to go home.
Exactly.
But before we do go home, Maureen, talk to us about some of the upcoming events or programs you mentioned. I saw the little sneak peek about the book, Maureen. So talk to us about what are some things you're excited about coming up in 2022, and what can we expect to see later this year?
So it's my birthday this April, actually on Easter Day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's my birthday. I have 2 books I'm working on that are going to be released before June, hopefully. They're going to be released. I have 2 books, the service book and one on affirmations. I have a program that I'm starting in September as well that I'm working on. There are a couple of things that God has me working on, but those are the 3 major ones for right now that are coming up. And if you follow me and all of those things, you'll be able to get updates when that happens.
Excellent, Maureen. Folks, it's like a movie trailer. She's got a lot of good stuff coming. So your IG handle, Maureen, is that the best place for people to follow you?
Yes,
any other?
Well, is linkedin.com/Maureen Osuji. So if they follow me on LinkedIn as well,
Okay.
I'll drop information there, and they can reach out to me as well if they want to get or work with me as well.
Excellent. Maureen, I can't tell you how blessed that I have been, and I know others listening to this, they will be blessed by this conversation. Maureen, I can't thank you enough for coming on the Jericho Force Podcast and sharing about your life, about your experience, and about your business. Thank you so much for joining tonight.
Thank you so much, Jason, for having me. This was really good.
I love it. You see, we're going to have some good see, Maureen, now I got other questions. I got to talk to you offline now. I was like, man, I didn't know all that.
I know.
I love it. But folks, Maureen and I are going to have to go talk offline, but that's all we've got time for here on the Jericho Force Podcast. Make sure that you go out and support Maureen. We'll have all the links and resources that she mentioned in the show notes. So make sure you support her. She, as I told you before in the beginning, she's a powerful woman of God, and God uses her in the marketplace. Folks, you know how we end things with our remix of Romans 12:2. Don't conform to the world's way of doing business. Transform by doing business God's way. We'll see you next time on the Jericho Force Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Jericho Force Podcast. You can catch us live on Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time and on demand. Check out jerichoforce.com/podcast for more details. To learn how to live out your faith in the marketplace, grab a copy of Jason Davis's book, Fortify, Being Rooted in God's Plan for Work and Business, available on Amazon.